there are two really important elements to my entrepreneurial journey that I think, are key to why have been able to do what I do. It's because, number one, it's because it's been incrementally, the challenges have come incrementally. So what I mean by that is, like, in the early days of windshield repair, the biggest problem we had is if we cracked a windshield as we were repairing it, right? And so that was like a $200 or a $300 problem. But at the time, that was really big for me. If a $200 or $300 bill came through, that was like, hey, you just lost all the money you made today, or maybe more, and that sucks. And so I emotionally started to be able to handle those problems. And then as, I got to be more successful in business, bigger problems would come along, but they seemed to be proportionate to what I could handle at the time. And so that proportion was able to get me to, be able to handle that problem, painful as it was, but in a position where I could handle it, right? And so each step of the entrepreneurial journey, I was solving problems that were proportionate to where I could emotionally handle them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cooler Radio, the broadcast that hosts conversations that can help you craft your life. Each week, we bring on guests who are influencers, coaches, mentors, leaders, and our conversations explore the art of intentional living in crafting life to your dreams. Drop in with us now and get ready to craft your life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Craft Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Kuehlhorn. Today, we have brought Ryan Fenn into the studio. He's the founder and current CEO of Chirp, an automation platform focused on converting leads within the trades industries. And I'm really excited to talk to you, Ryan. There was a post in Facebook that we'll bring up later in our convo, but your story's awesome. And I can tell just from following you, I've seen you on some of Tommy's stages in the past as well. And you look really good today. So I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Matt. I'm super excited to be here. Just super grateful for the opportunity to be on your podcast. Love it.
Yeah. And you told me you're beaming in from Utah. Where did you grow up? Where was childhood for Ryan?
I actually grew up in a town called Lake Arrowhead in California. Okay. It's in the Southern California mountains near Orange County, Los Angeles, kind of near there. Grew up up there. Went to a high school called Rim of the World because it sat on the edge of the mountain overlooking the valley.
Love that. Yeah. Was childhood free for all for you? Like, did you have freedom up in the mountains there?
We did, yeah. My dad was a home builder, and he always did reasonably well. And we moved around because he was always, as a contractor, he was always if he built a house and it didn't sell, sometimes we'd move into that house until it did sell. And so we moved around a little bit, but in the mountains it was cool because we had a lake, and I grew up, we had a boat, and I grew up wakeboarding, and that was really fun. And I was wakeboarding long before it was long before even wake surfing was a thing. So
that's cool. Amazing. And when I go to your LinkedIn profile, you've got I didn't finish high school on there.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't finish high school. I left when I was 16. One of my cousins had done, it's called the California High School Equivalency Test. And I was like, I just want to get out there. And I wasn't bad at school. I got good grades and it was fine, but I just didn't want to be there anymore. And I bailed when I was 16. So
yeah, where'd you go from there? Did you start moving around the country then, or did you stay tight?
I moved off the mountain down to my parents were like, well, you're 16, you can't just sit around the house, so you got to go do something. It was never my intention to sit around the house, of course. I did a little bit of school at a community college to try to, mostly to appease them. I didn't really want to go to college, but I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. So I did that for a little while. I was just about 17. when I graduated, and did that for a year and a half, I think. And then I went on a mission for my church to the Philippines for 2 years. So
Awesome.
I learned another language over there, and spent some time learning about third world countries and how they operate and how beautiful the people are, and got to really love that country.
Love that. One of the things that I'm curious to hear your perspective on. So, there was a component that I was reading as I was preparing for this convo, and at some point in this journey of yours, you got into windshields. But what I was more curious about is somewhere in there you clicked into automations.
Mm-hmm.
How did that even get on your radar, and what intrigued you about it to really dial it in?
Sure. After my mission and my 20s, I started a windshield repair business. I think I was in my late 20s when I started that business. I was just married, and not just married. We had our first child when we started that, so it was about 2 years into our marriage. I started a windshield repair business. I started it because I actually had a job doing it for a guy, and he was doing some kind of shady stuff. He was like processing insurance claims and stuff that were not real. And I was, I am not down with with that at all. So I only worked with him for a few weeks actually before I realized he was doing that stuff. And so I saw the windshield repair business as a good opportunity. And so I left that shady operation and started my own. And I would go door to door selling windshield repairs. So I'd just knock on doors and just say, hey, I fix windshields. And, I was able to support my family, which is really cool. And then I got the idea to go into a gas station and do it out of a gas station. So as cars would come in, I mean, it's like this, Tommy will sometimes make fun of me because it's like full on, like, it seems like I'm a homeless guy in the corner washing windshields, but we were making great money. Cars would pull in to get gas, and we were trying to strike kind of this balance of like, or we wanted to strike like that, like you see in movies like the old timey gas stations, you pull in and like there's service guys there to come out and fill up your tires with air and wash your windshields. We were trying to I was like, let's try to bring that back. And so we'd wash windshields as they would come in. And then if they had a chip in their windshield, we would offer to fix it so it wouldn't crack any further. Mm-hmm. It was just a good lead generation process. Hundreds of cars are coming in to get gas every day, and about 25% of them have fixable damage on their windshield. And so there was a captive audience of people getting their gas. It worked. We sold thousands and thousands of windshield repairs. And then, I got the idea to start a course. That's when courses were just starting to become a thing online. Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels was all
that's right,
just barely getting going. And so I was like, well, this is a great business. Why don't I teach people how to start and run their own windshield repair businesses and teach them my little secrets for getting business? And so I built this course, and I was generating, we set up Facebook ads, and we would get a lead that would come in, and we would text that lead, and we'd say, hey, thanks for checking out our course. Here's a link to learn more about it, so on. And that's how we closed. That's how we would get these course purchases. And it worked really well. And we started kind of figuring out the automation, how to send the text message through an automated text, and how to get them to book automatically to do a sales call. And it was great. We made like $2 million selling that course through text messaging. So that's really the beginning of the learning automation, understanding how to, automate a task that's redundant. And it became, that's really that's when I, went to an engineer, and our current engineer that is a partner of the company, and some other people that are involved, and just said, hey, I think this works really well. Let's get this going. So that's that in a very small, that's a lot of time, and a really, many years of trying different things, but that's a condensed version of it.
Yeah. I'm curious, as you were putting kind of these pieces together, how comfortable was it for you? Did you come out of the gate getting success? I mean, you talk about making good money with windshields, but in this zone, I mean, it sounds like risk, and I'm just curious, like, where was the comfort level for you, your family?
Yeah. So fortunately, there are two really important elements to my entrepreneurial journey that I think, are key to why have been able to do what I do. It's because, number one, it's because it's been incrementally, the challenges have come incrementally. So what I mean by that is, like, in the early days of windshield repair, the biggest problem we had is if we cracked a windshield as we were repairing it, right? And so that was like a $200 or a $300 problem. But at the time, that was really big for me. If a $200 or $300 bill came through, that was like, hey, you just lost all the money you made today, or maybe more, and that sucks. And so I emotionally started to be able to handle those problems. And then as, I got to be more successful in business, bigger problems would come along, but they seemed to be proportionate to what I could handle at the time. And so that proportion was able to get me to, be able to handle that problem, painful as it was, but in a position where I could handle it, right? And so each step of the entrepreneurial journey, I was solving problems that were proportionate to where I could emotionally handle them, right? If I was doing windshield repairs at a gas station and, I got sued by a major corporation, I might not be able to handle that level of problem, right?
Yeah.
At that time. And so each step has added like a layer of confidence and a layer of emotional, control to be able to handle bigger and bigger problems. And as I've talked to, people that are much further along than I am in the journey, that seems to be the pattern. These problems are never going away. Every time you make more money and get more successful, there's bigger problems that come along with it. But I think if you do it right, you're able to fortify yourself over time to be able to handle those problems. One of my investors, who's a billionaire, he's doing business all over the world, and he's like, hey man, I explain a problem to him and he just laughs, like, oh man, that's stuff that I was dealing with 30 years ago. He goes, you could be dealing with what I'm dealing with. I just got a letter from the Chinese government that they decided to sue our company. So are you ready for that kind of problem? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's different. So I think I think that the entrepreneurial journey is a series of steps that emotionally fortify you. And you have to be solving these problems every step of the way to be prepared for these bigger problems as they come. So that's the first part, I think, that's key to being successful. And then the second part is that my wife is extremely supportive and has never expected any level of success from me. So she would be just as happy in our little tiny little 2-bedroom apartment that we started in, or the house we're in now. She's never expected any level of success other than just me trying. And so even if I tried my best and we were just still doing windshield repair, she'd be just fine. So that support has been key to where I'm at.
That's key, man. What a gift there. I love your description of like these challenges and kind of going through the challenge in order to up level the ability to take on the next. And so often I perceive that people might have dreams and they might have desires for going out on their own, and it's scary, it's risky, it's a little bit lonely at times. But then these problems come up, and how often does somebody get faced with a problem and back away?
Yeah, it's crazy because you think, I've heard this said in many ways, like as far as like what we think we can deal with, what compared to what we can actually deal with. And what we can actually deal with is a lot of times a lot bigger than what we think we can deal with, right? You've probably said to yourself, oh, if that happened, I could never recover. Or, if my wife left me, I would never be able to, or if I lost a child, I don't even like saying those words out loud, but then you talk to people that have gone through those problems and they'll say like, I would have thought the same way, but I'm able to deal with it obviously through time. But I think we sell ourselves short by saying there's just no way I could do that. I just couldn't handle that. And you find very quickly that when the problems come, we are creatures that can solve problems, and we don't give up on problems. And that's why I hate doomsday talk. Anything that's the sky is falling. It's like, hey, whatever problems come, we have 100% track record up to this point.
That's right.
You've conquered every day of your life up to this point. You've made it through. What makes you think that there's going to be something you can't do? So rely on that 100% track record that you have already.
Yeah, that's my next question. I think you might have just answered it, but to extract that a little bit, is that the belief that you carry through the problem of yesterday and the problem of tomorrow? Like you just have that internal confidence, and if that is true, where did that originate?
Yeah, and to go really deep, which is, I think that's what your intention is with this podcast, right? Is to go as deep as we can. I have some beliefs that really help me here, because so I'm very religious. I very much rely on God. I'm a believer of Jesus Christ. I follow that teaching. I believe heavily that we are creations of God. And to me, that's the ultimate confidence. To me, that's the ultimate, that puts every problem presented in such a different light for me, because it's not really a problem. These aren't real problems. There are people that have much bigger, much more difficult challenges in life that we face, right? And so if we can face it from two parts, like, hey, like there are people that have real problems in this world and then that's one. But I think greater than that is a confidence that comes from being a creation, believing that I'm a creation of God. And that tells me that if we're all divine, these problems, business, those kind of things, they're not real problems. They're very simple and basic, and so we can approach them from that level of confidence that's just like, hey, we got God behind us if we're doing the right things, and we're solving great problems. But at the end of the day, our children have food, and our families are together, and that's really what's important. And so these things become very unimportant, just fun and engaging and challenging, but not actual problems that should cause worry.
I love that, man. What I'm hearing in that, it's just so beautiful. I mean, it's as your identity is really secured, and you're referencing God, a higher power, relationship with Jesus, and that belief. And I think what can trip a lot of folks up, I feel like I've tripped up in this in the past myself, where the problems are coming at us and we get our identities wrapped up with those problems. And what I'm hearing you put together in words so eloquently is that these are just little bumps or whatever. They're opportunities. Like everything's going to be for me and my growth as I walk on this journey. And it's not an identity play. And I think that might be a distinction for some folks where we'll get wrapped up like, I need to make this sale. I need to overcome this, or like, I'm not who I think I am.
Exactly. Yeah. If your identity is, if my identity was entrepreneur, owner of Chirp, it could be pretty devastating if something brought this thing down, right?
Yes.
And it could bring me down to a level of depression that, I would never want to be at. And so, but being brought up from a very young age as my identity first, and I don't know if people are we videoing it, but I'm putting my hand up very high. My identity at the top is child of God, right? Below that is child of my family, of my parents, and adjacent to that is husband to my wife, or even above that now, I should say, is above that my identity now is husband, and then my next identity would be father to my children, right? And then the next identity would be like patriot to my country. And then far, far, far down the list is, my occupation and these things. And obviously they're important and good, but ultimately, if those things were to go away, I have my foundation of who I am. And so that allows me to approach these things, which is funny because if people think they have to have their identities wrapped up into their business or their occupation, when that's actually detrimental to the occupation itself. And so if you have this level of confidence up here, these things just become much easier to deal with. Your confidence is much higher. And we all know in business, about 90% of business is confidence, and then the other 10% is confidence. So,
I like that.
So having that has always been such a benefit for me. Like with school, it was like when I left when I was 16, I was like, I know I'm gonna figure it out. I'll figure it out. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of that.
Yeah. It's amazing. That starts getting really close to the post I had referenced early on. And I went searching for it and I couldn't remember where you plugged that in and couldn't find it. Maybe you have it top of mind, but we'll get to the root of it because it was a post around money and attracting money. And again, I think that there's an identity component. Like if I have my identity wrapped up in money and this material level of success, then maybe I'm going to go chasing it. And my analogy is chasing the cat. Like if I see a cat in my yard, I go chase that cat, it's going to run away. It's going to be really difficult to catch. Whereas if I'm like in my power, in my confidence, and I'm attracting the cat, I'm much more likely to have that thing come around and get petted. So I just kind of wanted to drive that there. And again, I can't remember the exact words you used in that post, but is that?
Well, there's been a few, but I think the one that I said was chase it and it will run, attract and it will what did I say? Something like that. Chase and it will run.
That's
attract
it.
and it will flow. That's the word.
Yep.
Chase and it will run, attract and it will flow.
Yep. How do you put that into a context? And you've been there. So, a few years back for somebody that, maybe is having a hard time month to month or is counting on closing the sale today or tomorrow to kind of put that bread on the table kind of deal.
Sure. So you can't put, as much as you want to, and as much as your instinct is to put that thing first, you have to fight that instinct to put that first. Money is a representation. It's not a real thing, right? It's a representation of work, of effort. It's, if I take money from you, Matt, I'm taking the effort you put in to earn that money, and I'm transferring it to me now, and now I can take that and do that. So money isn't an actual, tangible, real, physical thing. It's a representation, right? And so, what you have to do, you have to work to get money, and you have to do those things, and you have to focus, but you have to be internally working on yourself, because if money represents your effort, Matt, it's going to be, you want to hold on to that and spend it wisely and do good things with it. And you want to do that with people that you know, like, and trust. We've heard that a million times. And to get people to know, like, and trust you, it's more than just the words you're saying. It's the vibration you're putting out into the world. We would all like to say that we make decisions on logic, but that's not true. We make decisions on the emotion that is sometimes generated from logic, but it's also generated from many other things. You've been around people that you just go, oh, I don't know about this guy. I don't think I would do business with this guy. Before they might even say a word, right? There's vibrations, this subconscious vibrations. And so if your focus is, I don't care, I will earn money, or I'm going to get money at all costs, right? I'm willing to sacrifice my integrity. I'm willing to sacrifice my relationships with my family, with God. I'm willing to do anything I can to get that money. That vibration is going to cause people to immediately not like you, not trust you, and not want to know you, right?
Yes.
And so if you're not working, if you're coming off, I'm doing all the right things. You've seen, guys, I'm doing all the right things. I'm saying all the right words. I'm putting in the hustle. I'm putting in the work. I'm just not closing deals. I'm not getting money. It's oftentimes much deeper than just training on how to be a better sales guy or saying the right words at the right time, right?
Yeah.
If you go into a room with a negative vibration to sell a deal, you're starting so far back and you're having to make up so much. You better be really good with your words to be able to scam somebody, right?
Well,
and so the key for the person that's struggling, don't give up on working on yourself. You have to take the time to focus on being a better person. For me, and this could be different for other people, for me, that was going to church on Sundays. That was teaching my children scriptures. That was giving time to my wife. That was doing all the things, even in the throes of entrepreneurship, doing those things so that when I'm in the entrepreneur world, my vibration is that higher level, that confidence, that, throwing off that, that trust vibe, that like vibe. That's all from deep work that is not just in the day-to-day of entrepreneurship.
Yes. I'm a firm believer of the inside creating the outside.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing there is, the commitment to self-growth, but there's also a component that not everybody has out of the gate, and I think it is a skill, but it's self-awareness. Just being able to understand yourself in awareness of how other people may perceive you, even though you can't control that, but then just how committed you are to doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, 100%. Like I oftentimes don't, I think we all have levels of self-awareness. But I don't really have great self-awareness. And so I just do the things that I think are going to be good for making me self-aware.
Yeah.
Or making people see me as I want them to see me. And I hope that comes across. So even if you're not self-aware, don't look at it as like, I'm going to solve this by being self-aware. Do the things that are going to work and you'll become that person. So what I mean is, I guess what I could say as an analogy is like working out isn't going to give you an immediate result. Like you're not going to work out and then go in the mirror that next morning and be like, oh, cool, I made muscle here, I made muscle here, I made muscle here. Same thing with this concept of self-awareness. You're not going to do something today and then go, oh, cool, now I'm better, in my interactions. It's not going to be that immediate. So you just have to do the things and trust that they are going to work. I don't know the science behind working out and lifting weights, but I trust that by doing them, it's going to give me a benefit, right? And so it's the same thing with spiritual or internal. I don't know the science behind why Jesus told us to do certain things, or why do we need to be kind? Why do we need to be honest? Why do we need to be ethical all the time? I don't know. There's like the deeper meaning behind it that we go way deep, but I trust that that's the right thing to do. And then the results happen without me having to know why.
Yeah, well said. You posted a before and after photo recently, and it seems like you've taken on a training program.
Yes.
You've made a focus on health more intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that know me, they know that I'm a lover of food. I love it. And not just like, I don't want to sound like a pig or something, but I love cooking. I cook most of the meals in our house. I really enjoy the process. It's very meditative for me. I love chopping vegetables, and I love, it's very meditative for me, and I like learning how things are made in food. I have 7 different barbecues or cooking things on my deck. So I have a charcoal grill, I have a pellet, I have a steak infrared grill. I have 7 different things. I have a pizza oven because I just love it. I love doing it, right?
Amazing.
And so this has been really difficult for me because I love food. And so I always made the excuse that it's okay. This is something that I love to do. It's fine. And so I'm not going to, I'd rather be a little bit rounder and enjoy my food than and, Tommy helped me see it, and some other people along the way have helped me see it, that it's basically, that's the same excuse that anybody could make for any addiction, alcohol or pornography even, or even just video games and TV. It's the same excuse. I started to see that something had a power over me that was taking away my agency to choose. So that's really important to me, is having freedom to choose and having agency. And Justin Judd, who's here at Chirp, we had this conversation recently, but I had this thought that anything that has control over us, its first line of defense of survival is to convince you that it doesn't have any control over you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, let's say for me, I love food. Bread is a huge part of that, be it pizza, noodles, burritos with delicious tortillas. I'm just going, hey, it's just bread. Who cares? It's just bread. And bread wants me to think that, right? So it can survive. Alcohol wants you to think that it doesn't have any control over you. No, you're fine. You can handle a few drinks a week. You're fine. It's the weekend. You can do whatever you want. You're an adult. It wants you to think that it doesn't have control over you in order to survive as a thing, as an entity, as an addiction. And so that's the realization I had was, wow, this thing that I love has control over me because I've allowed it, and it's making me think that it doesn't. So that was kind of the awakening moment for me.
Yeah, amazing. My question for you is, in this engagement of training and I guess dietary management, like, has that increased your ability to, for you, connect with with God, connect with your family, wife, impact business.
Yeah, 100%. So this is a big
That's
one
amazing.
because going back to the know, like, and trust vibrations, we're putting off those vibrations from all parts of what we do in life, health, our family, our relationships, all those are putting out different vibes, right? And part of that is health. And so I was getting respect in business for some of the accomplishments that I had, and that helps you get more accomplishments because as people higher up respect you, you get more opportunities, more doors open, and so on. And so I was getting a level of that for what I had accomplished over here. And, by adding another layer of respect, you get more in return. There's an abundance that comes from that. And so you get, and this is all subconscious. It's not like people are walking around going, I like this guy. I trust him. He's a little bit fat, so that's okay. It's not a conscious thing. We're all operating on this plane of vibrations, and you're attracted to different things subconsciously. And so as you start to improve in areas of your life, that's going to attract more respect. It's going to attract more opportunity. More doors are going to open. And so it's just, you never want to look at any aspect of your life and just go, that part, I'm just going to leave that to the side. That's okay. I'm not going to work on that part because I love bread, right? Or whatever it is. It's, focus on, if you improve in every area of your life, there will be a subsequent, I call them, in church stuff, a subsequent blessing from that. But it's I've lived this law, and that way I get this return on that investment. And so everything you do that's positive will have an ROI. You'll get something out of it. You don't know what that is. God doesn't always tell you what it is. But if you are improving, you will get an ROI from that.
Love it. If I ever have the opportunity to get to a backyard cooking party with you, I'm all in.
It'll have to be on
show your skills. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate the authenticity that you bring, and the vulnerability. Like you're open book, man, and it resonates. And so I just want to recognize that, applaud that, and I guess start putting bow tails on this conversation, like looking forward. And this could be with Chirp, this could be in other areas of your life. But what are you really excited about crafting as you go forward over the next few years?
So we're definitely deep in the automation process. We have a lot of really cool things up and coming with Chirp. We're always looking for ways to stay ahead. Everything in the software world is always changing and evolving, and so it's always a challenge to find new ways to automate, new ways to make the product better. There are things I can't talk about them right now, but there are some really cool things coming down the pipe in Chirp. And of course, working with Tommy Mello has, that's another thing, getting into the right rooms, getting to the right people so that your mindset just opens up further and further. The numbers we talk about are numbers 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago that I would have just been falling out of my chair hearing. And so as you continue to level up, your mind opens. So you should always be looking to get around people that have a bigger mindset. That was a big part of, Tommy coming into my life. This was a couple years ago now. If you don't mind, I'll tell a little story about that.
Yeah, please. Please do.
2 years ago, my wife and I were at dinner. We had I had done. I do auctioneering. So I can do the fast chanting auctioneering.
Awesome. Right on.
and I'll do it for charity. I do charity auctions. So I'll do these charity auctions where they raise money for whatever. And I had just done this charity auction, and they gave me a gift card to a restaurant that I probably never would have gone to, but they gave me a gift card for doing it because I like to do it just for fun most of the time. And so long story short, sorry, I'm at this restaurant. I'm sitting there with my family, and I had this thought. I said, I really want to work on attracting somebody with a bigger mindset into my life. Just to really, I want to open my mind up. I want to find, I want to level up, really was what I was thinking. And I had the thought that I want to find a specific friend that had that, mindset. And I think that's really where I put it into the universe. I put it out to God, and that's the process that started it. And it wasn't just a couple months later that Tommy and I got together and started the process of becoming partners in this thing. And I really feel like it's really important. I think maybe we had talked about this. I think you saw my post when I was in Vegas a few weeks ago with Tommy talking about this. But I put the words out there into the universe. I say universe because that's what Justin says, and I think people can relate to that. For me, it's God. I prayed, put those words out there, used the words. But I think that's how things start. Put the words out there. If you have an intention, if you have something you want to accomplish, start by saying the words. Say them loud, say them proud. Put the intention out to the universe that that's what you want to accomplish, and things will start to align.
Yeah.
And it'll happen.
That's amazing. You're going to be at Home Service Freedom down in San Diego?
Yes.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll see you there.
Speaking there. Yeah, on a panel. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. How can listeners reach out to you, learn more about Chirp, and just kind of track you, follow your journey?
Yeah, Chirp is open for business. It's 2 I's, so CHIIRP.com. If you want to learn, if you're in the home service space and you want to learn how to automate your follow-up so that you can more consistently close deals, get a higher ROI from your marketing budget, we can show you how to do that. We can help you set that up. There's some really cool automation techniques that we do that a lot of companies are using. We just sat down yesterday with A1 Garage, the whole team, and did some new campaigns that we think are going to be really successful. But we're here to help you facilitate that. You can go to chirp.com and book a demo. If you want to reach me directly, add me as a friend on Facebook. I'm older, so it's funny to hear that Facebook is for older people now. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But I do spend time on Facebook, so feel free to add me as a friend there. But really, I'm here to be to connect with other entrepreneurs. Chirp is definitely gives me that platform to do that. But ultimately, this is a relationship play. I want better and bigger relationships with more and more people. To see what we can do in the blue collar space to just raise it up, level it up. So
yeah, I love it, man. There does seem to be such a wave of level up opportunity in the blue collar trades for sure. And so I appreciate your work. Today's conversation was awesome. Really appreciated you. And for the listeners, we'll have in our show notes links to Chirp, and we'll probably put your Facebook link in there too, Ryan, and encourage everybody to reach out. You're a treat to follow, and I just really appreciate how you present yourself into the world. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. It's been great.